I'm the evil supporting character in a fake heiress novel, and I've been reborn. To escape my tragic fate, I immediately returned my fiancé to the original heroine overnight and sincerely wished the male and female leads happiness. The heroine shook her head mysteriously. "We can't be happy." Then she told the male lead to get lost. I suddenly understood another reborn character. The heroine looked at me with teary eyes. "Girl, I transmigrated into this book. Whoever wants to be this brain-dead heroine can have her." Ding! Evil supporting character system activated. Please complete tasks according to the original plot. I stared at the white orb of light floating in the air and took a deep breath. Mom said carefully, "Sophia, this is Emma." As the evil supporting character in a fake heiress novel, facing the White Lotus heroine who would steal everything from me, I should choose A. Slap her and tell her to get out of my house. B. Throw myself into my adoptive parents' arms and cry, saying I can't accept this reality. C. Secretly sabotage her. Thinking of the tragic ending in the book, my legs went weak, and I declined fate's options. I chose to bless the male and female leads. System, please accept the task. Make the heroine feel humiliated on her first day home. I ignored it and looked at Emma, who had just entered. I proactively put on a friendly smile. "I'm Sophia. If you don't mind, you can call me sister." The delicate White Lotus heroine in front of me had an indescribable expression. The White Lotus suddenly grabbed my hand with the expression of a warrior going to their death. She said resolutely, "Then we'll be sisters with different fathers and mothers from now on." Little White Lotus? After dying tragically in my past life, I learned this world was from a scumbag romance novel. The real heiress Emma, as the suffering White Lotus heroine, was abused physically and mentally by the male lead for 300 rounds, then forgave him after his rain-soaked, red-eyed, waist-grabbing wife chasing crematorium offensive. I couldn't understand it, but I was greatly shocked. 2 miscarriages, slapped 3 times by the male lead, framed by evil supporting characters N times, and driven to bankruptcy, but she forgave him after he cried twice? The most shocking part was yet to come. One of the evil supporting characters in the story, who was gang raped to death for framing the heroine, was named Sophia. That damn system was still egging me on, constantly chattering. Please understand your position and accept your fate. Me, sorry, I decline. As an evil supporting character who died tragically, I knew there was only one way to change my fate: be kind to the heroine and stay away from the male lead. My fiancé was that arrogant male lead, Ethan. Now that Emma was back, she should be the one engaged to him. I sat on the other side of the sofa, far away from him. Since that's the case, I wish you both happiness. Unexpectedly, they both reacted strangely. Happiness? This was Ethan. We can't be happy. This was Emma. I looked at them both in confusion. The system jumped twice, hinting that I should quickly destroy the male and female lead's relationship. Ethan's face darkened. "Sophia, did she force you?" Emma's face turned angry as she scolded. Who forced what? What did I force her to do? Don't go putting labels on me. I was about to not recognize the word force anymore. Looking at the tense male and female leads, I felt like I was dreaming. The two continued arguing, and it looked like they were about to fight. I quickly said, "This is also Mr. Hayes's intention. After all, I'm not the Blackwood family's daughter." Ethan's dad was very promiscuous, and his illegitimate children could form several mahjong tables, so Ethan's position wasn't stable. Before taking power, he still had to listen to his father. Obviously, Ethan fell silent. I knew he had compromised. As the male lead, he always weighed pros and cons. But perhaps his CEO legacy remained, as Ethan looked at Emma and laughed coldly. "Heh, don't expect me to fall in love with you." Emma's expression looked like she'd eaten shit. She slammed the coffee table, her expression fierce. Love you, my ass. If you don't love me, go ask your dad to cancel the engagement. 0. 6. You only know how to bully women. Trash. I was stunned. The system was also stunned. Because I clearly saw the white orb freeze in place, as if its worldview had been completely overturned. Emma, get lost. Don't let me see you again. After Ethan left, Emma and I stared at each other. Emma, who had been so fierce just moments ago, shed 2 lines of tears. Me? Emma said expressionlessly, can't control it. A very bold idea suddenly appeared in my mind. I asked, did you get reborn? Emma shook her head while crying, girl, I transmigrated into this book. The White Lotus buff exploded. Emma cried breathlessly, wailing, whoever wants to be this brain-dead heroine can have her. I was shocked for 2 seconds. She transmigrated into the book, so she was more advanced than me. The evil supporting character was saved. Half an hour later, Emma finally stopped crying. The White Lotus buff was too powerful. Emma's gaze was hollow as she murmured, when I heard Ethan say he didn't like me, I wanted to cry. Emma wiped her nose. Embarrassing, so embarrassing. I comforted her. It's okay, only I saw it. Emma sighed heavily. Why couldn't I transmigrate into someone else? Why this brain-dead character? I comforted her again. At least you're the heroine and can survive to the ending. Look at me. I don't live past chapter 40. Emma looked at me and seemed comforted, but the next second, she started crying again. That damn scumbag, Ethan. 0. 6. I'm not really going to end up with him, am I? Getting slapped by him, having miscarriages, and finally going bankrupt? My tone was heavy. No, look, I didn't listen to the system, and now the plot is different from the beginning. Being human means having the courage to resist. Emma sniffled twice and seemed to gain strength. You're right. Let's take him down. I was greatly shocked. Worthy of someone who transmigrated as the heroine. Emma was arranged by Dad to be in the same class as me. Although fate had taken a big turn, we still had to take the SATs. Mom and Dad insisted that studying was the path to success, or else they'd be like Theme even after becoming the richest family in the city. They'd still be looked down upon by educated people. Besides Emma, there was another new transfer student in class, named Nathan. He was Ethan's father's newly brought back and much favored new son. I secretly glanced over. Nathan looked like a rebellious rich kid, completely different from the good student Ethan. So Ethan's father liked this type. I pondered thoughtfully. Nathan casually pulled out his chair and sat behind me. The first class was English. While listening to the lesson, my shoulder was tapped. I turned around to see a handsome, roguish face with sharp phoenix eyes that were slightly upturned, looking quite fierce. I shrank back and asked quietly, "What's wrong?" Nathan showed a smile. "Good student, lend me a pen." I handed him a pen with an indescribable expression. He politely said, "Thank you." After class, I suddenly remembered that to bring down Ethan, Nathan could be a breakthrough. The Hayes family was large, with many children and serious internal conflicts. As long as Ethan lost his inheritance rights, he couldn't be the male lead anymore. I excitedly went to find Emma and told her the new transfer student was Ethan's brother. She squinted and pondered for a while, looked at Nathan, and her expression became increasingly strange. "Isn't this?" I asked curiously, "Isn't what?" Emma said strangely, "Isn't this the villain from the book?" "Huh?" I was confused. "Didn't you transmigrate into the book? How do you know what he looks like?" Emma curled her lip, because that trash author only knew how to use those 2 descriptions over and over Phoenix eyes and handsomely roguish. I was sick of reading it. Soon, I found the key point. How is this villain? He's pretty capable, almost brought down the male lead, but unfortunately disappeared in the end for some reason. I didn't expect the seemingly awesome male lead to have a villain who could control him. Emma spoke halfway, then her expression stiffened as she looked at me strangely. I felt uncomfortable under her gaze. What's wrong? Emma seemed to know something and let out a strange laugh. I said in horror, although the plot is still continuing, if you have mental problems, you should still see a doctor. Snap. Her hand heavily patted my shoulder. Emma's expression was like a cat seeing a mouse, excited to the point of being strange. She leaned close to me. I know. With him here, we can definitely bring down the male lead. I didn't know where her confidence came from and made a confused sound. Emma said excitedly, to prevent him from disappearing this time, we need to protect his safety. I scratched my hair. We protect him? After school, we sneakily followed behind Nathan. I whispered, we don't need to start protecting him now, do we? Emma replied, the plot has already changed, just in case. The system was still chattering, the white orb flashing and jumping. Please accept the task, bully the heroine at school. I waved my hand, telling it to get lost. In those few seconds, Nathan's figure disappeared. Emma and I were startled and quickly ran forward. Turning a corner, I suddenly crashed into a cold, solid embrace. My forehead hurt. I touched it and stepped back. Looking up, I stammered, nah. Nathan. Nathan looked down at me condescendingly with a half smile. Why are you following me? Being caught stalking was really embarrassing. I wanted to crawl into the cracks in the floor tiles. The more embarrassing part was yet to come. Emma stood behind me, patted me, and said decisively, Nathan, Sophia wants to ask for your WeChat. Me? I looked at the black avatar in my WeChat contact list and sighed. Embarrassing. Really embarrassing. This time, Emma comforted me. Look on the bright side. He gave you his WeChat, so he definitely doesn't think you're a stalking pervert. My expression became even heavier. Just then, a WeChat notification sounded. I opened it to look. Good student Emma leaned over and screamed, Nathan contacted you! Before I could reply, another message popped up. Lost your pen. Sorry. Emma's expression was appreciative. This villain is quite polite. I'll buy you a new one tomorrow. What kind do you like? My finger froze there, not knowing what to reply. Nathan's messages always gave me a strange feeling. Emma's eyes lit up. This is such a good opportunity to get closer. Tell him to go buy it together with you. My face wasn't thick enough for that, so I slowly typed back. Fire-breathing T-Rex, no need. Sliding out of the interface and seeing my ID, I sighed even more sadly. This ID was changed 2 days ago when I lost a Truth or Dare game with Emma. Emma was still laughing coldly beside me. How domineering this name is. Ha 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 ha. Remembering Nathan's expression when he saw the WeChat request, I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. Embarrassing. Too embarrassing. Although I refused Nathan, the next morning we still appeared at the stationery store across from school. I numbly pointed at a random pen. Nathan laughed meaningfully. I turned my head to look. It was a ballpoint pen with a dinosaur print. Me. Please let lightning strike me dead. Nathan paid and handed me the pen, smiling. Thank you. I said woodenly, you're welcome. I casually stuffed the pen in my pocket, preparing to leave this place that made me want to leave the world from embarrassment. Suddenly, someone grabbed my arm. My hair stood on end. Just as I was thinking, Nathan had gone crazy. Sophia. It was that bastard, Ethan. Why have you been avoiding me these past few days? He buzzed in my ear like a mosquito. Wait, why was Ethan here talking nonsense with me? I suddenly realized. This pain should have been Emma's to bear. I quickly became alert and searched for Emma. Nathan beside me crossed his arms, watching us like he was enjoying an interesting show. He was even enjoying the drama. No time to deal with him. Finally seeing that figure, I shouted, "Emma!" Emma turned around and looked like she'd seen a ghost when she saw Ethan. I patted Ethan's shoulder and said meaningfully, "It shouldn't be me standing here." After saying that, I immediately grabbed Nathan, who was watching the show, and ran. He was the big villain. How dare he stand in front of the male lead? Acting impulsively feels good, but regret comes after. In just 2 days, I'd already experienced 3 social deaths in front of the villain. I secretly took out my phone and messaged Emma. "Fire-breathing T-Rex, what did you say to Ethan this morning?" 06. After a while, Emma replied, "Iron female warrior. Thanks for asking. Already in heaven." I felt a bit guilty about pushing my teammate out to take the hit this morning. Fire-breathing T-Rex, forgive this poor, helpless, weak, evil supporting character QAQ Iron female warrior. He said, "Woman, trying to get my attention?" Iron female warrior, also, you're not qualified to be my woman. I never realized Ethan was so brain-dead before. Emma, who faced this devastating blow directly, was truly a warrior. Ding! The annoying system popped up again. Please accept the task. Lock the heroine in a bathroom stall after class. I clicked my tongue, admiring its persistence, and forcefully slapped it onto the desk. It flickered twice and disappeared again. In the restaurant, Nathan, Emma, and I stared at each other. This awkward situation arose because I abandoned Emma this morning, so she pushed me out again to get close to the villain. I broke the silence first. Let's order. "Nathan, what do you like to eat?" Nathan said lazily, "I'm fine with anything." Looking at the menu, I tried asking, "Steamed sea bass?" Nathan made a sound. He didn't like it. I continued looking at the menu. "Cheese-baked lobster?" Nathan shook his head. "I don't eat cheese." I flipped a page and continued, "Cherry foie gras?" "I don't eat foie gras." I suppressed my emotions. "Then what do you want to eat?" 06. Nathan tilted his head. "I'm fine with anything." I felt I could no longer maintain the smile on my face. Seeing this, Emma immediately said, "Sophia, come with me to the restroom." She also said to Nathan, "Look at the menu first." Emma pulled me to the restroom and let out a long breath. "Calm down, that's the villain." I looked at her resentfully. "You're the heroine." Emma gave me another pep talk before we walked out of the restroom. On the way back, we encountered 2 people. Ethan, and the male supporting character from the original story, Jake. Emma and I exchanged glances, vaguely remembering this plot. The third male lead saw the White Lotus heroine helping the waitstaff in the restaurant, was moved by her kindness, fell deeply in love with her, and constantly opposed the male lead for her. Although his opposition to the male lead was satisfying, the male lead took out all his frustrations on the heroine. I saw deep horror and resistance in Emma's eyes. This plot absolutely could not happen. Thinking this, Emma and I stepped aside in tacit understanding. As expected, Emma bumped into the waitress behind her. The plates fell to the ground, soup and broken porcelain mixed together. The waitress was shocked and quickly apologized. "I'm sorry, you." Emma frowned, put her hands on her hips, looking exactly like an evil supporting character. "Are you blind? You got my clothes dirty. Tell me, how will you compensate?" 06. I chimed in from the side. "Just pay $5,000 to make up for it." The waitress's eyes widened, looking like she was about to cry. I couldn't keep acting. Emma and I exchanged glances, preparing to end this farce. "Forget it, you probably can't afford it anyway." "How unlucky." Emma arrogantly raised her head, preparing to leave. This scene finally ended, and the third male lead would definitely not fall in love with the heroine. "Sophia, Can't that bastard Ethan just pretend to be blind? I turned around with an unhappy expression. What? He stepped forward, glanced at Emma, then looked at me. What are you doing here? Eating, obviously. Ethan looked like he wanted to say something more but was interrupted by a voice. Sophia. I turned my head. Nathan stood not far away, looking at me with a smile. I finished ordering. Not wanting to deal with the male lead behind me anymore, I pulled Emma to Nathan's side. I asked curiously, "What did you order?" Nathan, bottled water. Me. Soon after, news came that the third male lead was engaged to the daughter of the Wilson family. Emma and I both breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed this plot had completely changed. Emma said excitedly, "The plot can be changed, so our endings can change too." Hope ignited in our eyes. Emma let out a villainous laugh. "This world is nothing!" Rustling sounds came from outside the door. Dad's voice came in. "Are these two kids going crazy?" Mom said softly, "Don't talk nonsense." The two children have a good relationship, which is a good thing. Dad, this is too good. Ever since Emma came, Sophia doesn't pay attention to us anymore. Mom's voice carried a hint of melancholy. When daughters grow up, they can't be kept. This day was bound to come. The two sighed and left. Emma and I looked at each other with complex expressions. The next plot was Emma and Ethan's engagement party. To modify the plot, we reviewed in advance. In the original story, at the engagement party, Emma received humiliation and mockery from me. Cannon fodder 1, cannon fodder 2, cannon fodder 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just when she was confused, wronged, and helpless, she looked at that man with teary, reddened eyes. Ethan! At that time, Emma so hoped that Ethan, as her fiancé, could stand up and say a word for her. But no! He just stood there coldly, letting them bully his fiancé. Emma's heart seemed to break into 8 pieces. Ugh. Her delicate body was pushed to the ground, her white dress stained with dust. Emma looked unwell and continued. Before losing consciousness, she looked toward Ethan and softly murmured 2 words. Emma said resolutely, "Then." The overly nauseating plot finally broke Emma. She couldn't take it anymore. Psycho! You'd be better off calling 911 than calling that scumbag's name. 06. I asked curiously. Then what? What happened after fainting? Emma roughly flipped a page and read loudly. Ethan's eyes moved slightly, and he walked to the center of the crowd, picking up that delicate body like a rose. She made a vomiting sound and continued. When passing the ill-intentioned Sophia, Ethan said coldly, "Who gave you permission to touch my woman?" Suddenly being cued, I confusedly took a cucumber-flavored chip. With a crunch, I ate the chip and asked, "That's not right. If he likes the heroine so much, why did he watch her get bullied?" Emma said disdainfully, "That's not love at all. It's possessiveness." Even if his dog got bitten, he'd say the same thing. I imagined that scene, Ethan saying coldly, "Who gave you permission to touch my dog?" I burst out laughing. Once I started laughing, I couldn't stop. I couldn't help asking, "How did you finish reading such a melodramatic novel?" At this, Emma's expression became dazed, because I'm also named Emma. The comment section suggested I memorize the whole thing. I laughed even harder. On the engagement party day, Emma originally wanted to put up a sign at the door saying, "Ethan and dogs not allowed," but gave up when she learned the engagement party was being held at the Hayes house. Emma was so nervous, she trembled. "What's the next plot?" "What was it again?" I whispered. "I splash red wine on you. Cannon fodder, 1 steps on your dress. Cannon fodder, 2 trips you. Cannon fodder, 3 mocks you. Cannon fodder, 4. Stop. Emma viciously glared at those cannon fodders, looking grim. To oppose the plot, Emma deliberately wore all black. Although Mom and Dad didn't quite approve, they still respected Emma's preference. I wore something more festivered to ward off bad luck. The meaning was for the plot to stay away. Emma and I made a simple, crude plan to use Nathan to disrupt this engagement party. If that failed, we'd disrupt it ourselves. It would just be a bit embarrassing. But compared to life, what was face worth? Emma was dragged by Dad to meet the Hayes family. Before leaving, she gave me a look. I immediately understood and secretly slipped to the Hayes family's back garden. The Hayes house was very large a manor. Behind the main building was the back garden, and behind the back garden was a small building. That was where Nathan lived. While avoiding other people, I identified the path in the darkness, lifting my dress hem as I ran toward the small building. Just as I was about to arrive, someone stopped in front of me. I immediately stopped, breathing heavily, and said incredulously, "Ethan? Why do you keep appearing where you shouldn't be?" Ethan stood half in shadow, his expression dark. "Sophia, I'm getting engaged." I casually said, "Congratulations." Ethan was silent for a moment, then stepped forward and grabbed my shoulders. "Don't you like me? You're just going to watch me get engaged to someone else? 06. How strange." I thought for 2 seconds. "I liked you before, but not anymore. You're getting engaged, so we have nothing to do with each other." Ethan laughed coldly. "You've moved on, haven't you? Is it Nathan?" My heart jumped hard, afraid he knew about Emma's and my plan. I refuted, "No, I don't like him." But Ethan became even more agitated. "Then what are you doing here? You're lying to me. Is this person crazy?" I impatiently tried to pry off his hands, but couldn't. Ethan looked like a crazed beast. "You can only be mine." With that, he tried to kiss me. Radar alarms went off in my brain. I was shocked and used all my strength to push him away. How did the plot become even more perverted after changing? Just before Ethan could cover me, someone suddenly pried him off, and a fist landed hard on his face with the sound of wind. Whoa! His face was ruined. This engagement party probably couldn't happen. But due to inertia, I fell backward after separating from Ethan, and my ankle twisted. Nathan's tall figure loomed over Ethan, and he seemed to throw 2 more punches. I watched in amazement. Worthy of being the villain. After Nathan stopped, he turned to look at me, then flexed his wrist and walked toward me. Silencing the witness? I sat there in terror, eyes wide, quickly thinking about which way of begging for mercy would be better. Nathan crouched down and looked at the swelling on my ankle. "Can you walk?" 06. Doesn't seem like he wants to kill me. I relaxed and shook my head. Nathan was silent for a moment, took off his large black suit jacket, put it on me, then gently picked me up. Did I catch the villain doing a good deed? When leaving, I secretly glanced at Ethan. The villain really was ruthless. The surroundings were quiet, warm light cascading down, as if gilding us both with a golden edge. I asked softly, "Can't the engagement party happen anymore?" Nathan's steps paused, then continued. His voice was indifferent. "Still like him?" Without waiting for my answer, he laughed mockingly. "What's there to like about him?" I actually seriously pondered his question. Apart from his character and brain, he's handsome and studies well. Feeling the arms holding me getting tighter and tighter, alarm bells rang in my heart, and I didn't dare continue. This was the villain. Praising the male lead in front of the villain was seeking death. So I cleverly changed the subject. Since the engagement party can't happen, my sister should be very happy. "Nathan, oh?" Bringing the villain to our team was urgent, so I said, "We both don't like Ethan." I asked, "Do you like him?" Nathan glanced at me lightly. This question was unnecessary. I said regretfully, "Since we all don't like him, we're friends now." Nathan laughed. "Friends? My heart tightened. After a moment, he said again, so easygoing, much easier to communicate with than the male lead. I struck while the iron was hot. We'll help you bring him down. How about it? At this time, a white orb of light system jumped twice and circled around us. It looked quite helpless. It seemed unable to understand why the plot had collapsed like this. Nathan didn't reply for a long time. My gaze shifted from the system to his face. Under the moonlight, that exceptionally handsome face had shed some of its hostility and looked gentler. But Nathan's words weren't so gentle. Why go against him? Then he said, because of just now? I couldn't think of a good reason for a moment and pondered, shrinking into the suit jacket draped over me. He's not good to Emma, I said slowly, and not good to me either, so... As long as he doesn't appear in front of us anymore, that would be good. The ending from my past life flashed before my eyes again. The bone-deep pain couldn't be dispelled, and I trembled slightly. I said quietly, if you're unwilling, forget it. Emma and I would find other ways. Nathan looked at the deflated me and raised an eyebrow. I haven't said I disagree. I looked up in surprise. By now, Nathan had carried me through the back garden and reached the main building. The surroundings were no longer quiet. Instead, there were more and more people, and many were drawn to look at us. Nathan's steps didn't stop as he said lightly, I'm willing. He lowered his head, his long eyelashes casting shadows, the corner of his mouth curving up, his eyes reflecting my image. Sophia. The surrounding noisy voices gradually became blurred, and the figures became indistinct blobs of color. The atmosphere gradually became intense. I met Nathan's gaze-less look was lingering and deep. I couldn't say a word. So strange, I thought. Why was my heart beating so fast? Before I could figure out an answer, my thoughts were interrupted. Oh my! Sophia, what happened? I stiffly turned around. It was Mom and Emma, with a strange yet excited expression. Nathan lowered his head and said something to me that I didn't understand. I frowned, wanting to ask more. Then he set me down on a seat and said gently, Sophia fell down. I happened to be passing by and brought her back. Mom tearfully thanked him profusely while hurrying to check on me. Seemingly unaware of the surrounding gazes, whether kind or malicious, I looked up at Nathan. This was our nth time making eye contact, but it had never been so strange. Those eyes seemed to contain emotions I couldn't read very deep, very heavy. They shouldn't exist between us, and definitely shouldn't be the gaze a high school student would have. I dispersed the strange feeling in my heart and said softly, Thank you. Nathan said with a half smile, No need to thank me. He turned and disappeared from my sight. Emma slowly approached me and gossiped. What happened? I first comforted Mom, then said to her, It's a long story, but your engagement party is definitely ruined. Emma gave me a thumbs up and patted my shoulder approvingly. Then she also disappeared from my side. I watched her, Nathan, and Mr. Hayes standing in the distance. Emma said something to Mr. Hayes, then left. When she returned to my side, it was my turn to gossip. What did you say? Emma's voice was joyful. I said I don't like Ethan. Then her tone darkened as she cursed. That damn Ethan actually told his dad he voluntarily wanted to get engaged to me before. Trash. I nodded. Indeed, trash. 20 minutes later, I saw Mr. Hayes walk onto the stage. He wore a proper suit, and his features resembled Nathan's somewhat. Good evening, everyone. Today is my son and the Blackwood heiress's engagement day. Emma and I were horrified. No way? Was the script so powerful that it could still be fixed even like this? Then, the two names that appeared on the LED screen left us both stunned. Nathan, Sophia, me. Emma. This was impossible. My vision went black. Before I could speak, Emma let out a shocked, "Holy shit! This CP is real." I tremblingly asked, "What CP?" Emma had already recovered from her shock, with a satisfied smile. "You and Nathan. In the book, he secretly loved you for many years. Didn't you know?" Then she seemed to remember something and knocked her own head. "Oh, right. You didn't live past chapter 40, so you probably didn't know. How could he have secretly loved me for many years? We'd only known each other for less than a month. I'd rather believe he liked fire-breathing T-Rex than me." Too many complex emotions intertwined in my heart, leaving my face expressionless. In my extremely confused mind, a sentence suddenly flashed something Nathan had just said to me. "You have to be willing too." What did I have to be willing about? I struggled to remember. Before that, I'd asked if he was willing to bring down Ethan together. He said he was willing. Then he said I had to be willing too. Warm applause rang out around us, and lights gathered on me. The red dress bloomed under the warm light like a blooming rose. I saw Nathan look at me, his mouth opening and closing, silently saying something to me. He said, "Fiancé." I don't want to. But no one was listening to me anymore. Everyone was cheerful, whether genuinely or not, all showing congratulatory expressions. I can't remember what specifically happened that day. When I got home, I was completely wooden. Dad looked disappointed. "My Sophia. How were you so easily tricked away?" Mom was crying and laughing. "At least that boy is handsome. Don't be looks obsessed at a time like this." I painfully covered my face. Emma's demonic voice still echoed in my ears. "When did you two get together? Tell me about it." The voices of Dad, Mom, and Emma kept ringing, echoing and swirling in my ears. Even the system was jumping frantically, expressing its shock. I had an internal conversation with the system. "Shouldn't you be responsible for this kind of plot development?" An electronic voice responded, "Bizd. We. Bzed. Please host. Accept. Bzed. Task." I let go and looked at the task that appeared in mid-air. "Please approach the male lead and tarnish the heroine's image in his heart." Useless thing. Did Emma's image in Ethan's heart even need me to tarnish it? I dispersed it and pulled Emma upstairs, leaving our parents' calls behind. Back in the bedroom, I locked the door. I adjusted my expression and said seriously, "We're not together." "Huh?" Emma was stunned. "You two are quite beautiful together. What's wrong?" I collapsed and shook Emma's shoulders. "I'm not familiar with him. We're not dating. I don't know why today's engagement became between me and Nathan." Emma's brainwater didn't get shaken out. She broke away with a slight turn. Her expression was meaningful. "Tisk. Then think of it as sacrificing yourself for the plot, for taking down the male lead. I shouldn't have to bear this burden. I'm just an evil supporting character. This great responsibility shouldn't fall on me. Something must have gone wrong somewhere." Before I could figure out what was wrong, the next day arrived. Monday. I entered the classroom with a funeral face, dragging heavy steps. The Hayes family was a prestigious family, and the Blackwoods were the former richest family in the city. Both were influential figures. When news of our family's engagement came out, when my engagement partner changed to Nathan, media rushed to report it. The school students also knew about 7 or 8 parts of it. Miss Campus Star of the Day, Sophia, ignored her new fiancé and sat directly in her seat. Even the girl in front turned around curiously. "Sophia, when did you two get together?" Nathan was outstanding in appearance and family background. As soon as he transferred to school, he attracted the admiration of many girls. On the way to class, I felt like their gazes were going to pierce right through me. I stared blankly and murmured, "Yesterday." The girl in front showed a shocked expression, then said with certainty, "Amazing." Ring, ring, ring. The class bell rang. The classroom became quiet. Books were arranged, waiting for the teacher. I avoided Nathan for half the day until the last class of the morning, when the teacher was halfway through and asked me to get test papers from the office. After arriving at the office, it was quiet and empty. It took me half a minute to find the papers the English teacher wanted. Just as my right hand was about to pick up the papers, it was suddenly held by another, larger hand. Hot breath came over, and I was so scared I turned around. "Nah, Nathan, how are you here?" Nathan stood behind me, my back against his chest, warmth spreading to every inch of my skin. "Weren't you avoiding me?" I couldn't tell if he was angry, so I lied. "No." Nathan didn't even think before exposing my lie. Liar. My chest felt like a little deer was bumping around. I felt this wasn't good. "Let go first. This is the office." Sure enough, the next moment, several footsteps came from outside, along with chatting voices through the door. I was so scared I almost exploded, my voice softening. "Let go." Nathan didn't move, his smile wicked. "Will you avoid me in the future?" The footsteps were getting closer. I anxiously shook my head. "I won't avoid you anymore." The moment Nathan let go, 2 teachers pushed the door open. Good thing. I took the papers and left the office with Nathan. Sunlight poured into the hallway. Floating clouds drifted by, and I moved slowly with each ray of light. Listening to the footsteps trailing behind me, I gathered courage to turn around and pulled him to a deserted place. "Why do you want to get engaged to me?" I looked at Nathan seriously. As long as he showed the slightest casual or frivolous expression, I would. But Nathan's expression wasn't frivolous or casual. On the contrary, it was very serious. The overly sharp and delicate eye corners lifted slightly. These eyes used to contain mockery and indifference. Now, they held a layer of depth I couldn't understand, misty and heavy, making one's heart skip a beat just looking at them. I even felt a hint of hidden expectation in my heart. "Father likes you very much." I slowly formed a question mark. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration hit me. I suppressed my disappointment and said seriously, "Although I said I'd work with you to bring down Ethan, using marriage as a means isn't quite appropriate." Nathan interrupted. "What's inappropriate about it?" I choked and continued, "I'm a fake heiress. You don't like me, and marrying me won't benefit you." Nathan hummed and bent down to meet my eyes. He smiled with curved eyes. A fake heiress and an illegitimate son couldn't be more suitable. Simply a perfect match. My expression went completely blank. Worthy of being the villain, his brain just worked differently from ordinary people. Communicating with him was really too difficult. At this moment, my emotions were like a pot of colorful stew: anger, confusion, helplessness, and even a few drops of grievance. Either repeat the tragic ending from my memories and die miserably, or accept Nathan's demands and be a widow for life. I must have committed sins in my past life for heaven to give me such choices. Grievance and helplessness drowned me like a tide. I lowered my head to hide my reddening eyes. I said quietly, "Okay." Then I turned and walked away. Isn't it just marrying someone who doesn't like you? Isn't it just being a widow for life? These are small matters, not worth mentioning. Just as I was about to turn the corner, Nathan suddenly grabbed my shoulder. He turned me around, examining my expression that I hadn't had time to hide, and clicked his tongue. "Why are you crying?" Nathan wiped the tears from the corner of my eye. Unexpectedly gentle. His voice was low and soft. I was wrong. "Don't cry." I sniffled, feeling embarrassed again. But I'd already embarrassed myself too many times in front of Nathan. Whatever, might as well break the jar. Seeing me stubbornly turn my head away, Nathan chuckled softly. He said, "Getting engaged to you is, of course, because I like you." As his words fell, it was as if millions of fireworks exploded beside my ears, rumbling and drowning out my drumming heartbeat. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. I asked in bewilderment, "But how could you like me?" We hadn't interacted much. Nathan patted my head, punishingly. "When you were 6 and came to the Hayes house, the one you met was me." I stood there stunned. My engagement with Ethan was arranged when I was 10. Before I started high school, I did often go to the Hayes house to play. At first, the little boy I met was quiet and shy, always trailing behind me like a little tail. I took him everywhere to play, and at the Hayes house, I was quite mischievous. Unfortunately, after age 7, when I went to the Hayes house again, that little boy had changed completely, no longer my little tail. I stared wide-eyed, incredulous. "Wasn't that Ethan?" Nathan's face darkened. After calming his emotions, he said, "That was me, but a year later, Father sent me abroad." The quiet, shy little boy from my memories had nothing in common with Nathan. I felt like I needed to calm down. In the end, I superficially accepted this explanation. But there was still a hint of imperceptible confusion in my heart, which I pressed down as soon as it arose. After lunch break, Emma and I went to a Western restaurant outside school for lunch. Emma looked at my absent-minded state and said excitedly, "What did you say to Nathan?" I forked a piece of salad leaf, chewing absent-mindedly. "I like you." It should be true, right? I forked another piece of banana. Emma's mouth twitched. She knocked the plate with her fork, making a crisp sound. I suddenly came back to my senses. "What's wrong?" Full of thoughts about men, and you ask me what's wrong. I felt guilty and refuted. I'm not. Don't talk nonsense." Emma's eyes were bright, about to say something more, when she glimpsed something and her face changed. "Help! This lingering ghost, how is he here again?" Following Emma's gaze outside, my brain quickly processed the current plot had progressed to after the engagement party. I was supposed to intensify my bullying of the heroine, the poor white lotus swaying in the wind, and then... This was the plot where the male lead comes to warn me. The system jumped excitedly twice, apparently brewing some evil scheme. Ethan wore a mask but couldn't hide the bruises on his forehead. Nathan really hit hard. Not knowing where the plot had deviated to, I nervously put down my fork. Ethan walked to our side, glanced at Emma, then looked at me. Emma trembled wave after wave. I knew she was restraining the urge to cry. How hard this was for her. I sent her a sympathetic look. But soon I realized this sympathy should be for myself. Ethan's aura was gloomy, his pupils showing no light. He said, "You're engaged to Nathan." I nodded. Ethan was silent for a moment. "You once said you'd like me most in this lifetime." I thought for a moment there was indeed such a statement. "But I said that when I was 7. You still remember?" Ethan stepped back, seemingly receiving a great blow. "You betrayed me too." I was full of question marks. When we changed the engagement to Emma, he didn't object. But since we'd been childhood friends, I thought about it and said, "Ethan, I'm engaged to Nathan now, and your engagement with Emma is also canceled. This isn't bad. You don't like me, and you don't like Emma either." He loved himself most. From now on, let's just be ordinary friends. Of course. If you don't appear in front of Emma and me, that would be even better. I glanced at Emma, who gave me an affirming look. Emma seemed to suppress that emotion and spoke with a calm, steady voice. People can't be too greedy. If you want everything, you end up with nothing. Ethan laughed coldly and left. But my heart was still shrouded in a light haze, not relaxed. It was as if I knew he wouldn't let this go easily. I was somewhat worried. Will he retaliate against us? Emma frowned. The male lead is so petty. Too low. Contrary to my expectations, nothing happened next. Until autumn passed, winter came, and the new year of the following year, arrived. Days were peaceful, like the calm before the storm. This was Emma's first new year with the Blackwood family. Dad and Mom took it very seriously, getting up early on New Year's Eve to decorate with the housekeepers. But unfortunately, due to their nouveau riche aesthetic, the villa looked festive yet tacky after decoration. Horrible. Dad was very satisfied, nodding, "Very beautiful, right, Sophia?" I went against my conscience, beautiful. Emma will definitely like it. I hoped her expression wouldn't be too strange. When Emma woke up at 10, she rubbed her eyes and came downstairs to see a sea of red, purple, and colorful flowers. She let out a soul deep holy. "Who did this?" Her words stopped abruptly when she met my gaze, then continued. "So festive." Dad and Mom breathed a sigh of relief, showing happy joy. At 8 p.m., the Spring Festival Gala started on time. The host's enthusiastic voice rang out in the living room, intertwining with noisy chatter, overflowing with the unique joy of New Year. The cake was placed on the table. Emma closed her eyes, blew out the candles, and made a wish. Then she cut the cake into pieces. I secretly asked, "What did you wish for?" Emma said sincerely, "For jerks to stay away from me." I nodded, deeply agreeing. Just as I was about to pick up the cake on my plate, I noticed my favorite cherry was missing. I howled angrily, "Emma, give me back my cherry." "Too much." Emma nimbly dodged with her plate, then ran around the sofa. "It's just one cherry." "I already ate it." "It's gone." Unable to catch Emma, I got even angrier. "I'm not talking to you today." Emma suddenly turned around, made an aha sound, and stuffed a cherry into my mouth. Little kitten's fur is standing up. "Good girl, don't be angry." I instinctively swallowed the cherry flesh and spit the pit into the trash. With a huff, I returned to the sofa. "I reluctantly forgive you." A WeChat notification sounded. It was Nathan. After the Truth or Dare game ended, my WeChat name finally escaped from fire-breathing T-Rex. "And miss you so much." How does this person love to act cute so much? My face reddened as I thought about how to reply. Emma peeked over with a mischievous expression. "Hey, you're the evil supporting character. How can you let him control you?" "Flirt back." I bit my lip and asked for advice. How do I flirt back? Emma pondered for a moment. "Send a picture, no makeup." "Heh, man, you're mesmerized by me, aren't you?" "You little temptress." My smile gradually disappeared, and finally I couldn't stand it anymore and covered her mouth. Too unreliable. No wonder she transmigrated shade, read too many cheesy romance novels. In the end, I still replied with a standard sentence, "I miss you too." But there was suddenly no response from his side. I closed my phone and took out snacks, preparing to ring in the new year with my family. When there were 10 minutes left until midnight, the Spring Festival Gala was nearing its end. Emma had drunk 2 cans of beer and was as energetic as if she'd been injected with adrenaline, her arms around my neck, babbling in my ear. Give me one more chance, and I definitely won't click into this trash novel. I want to read female-dominated reverse harem stories. Good thing Mom and Dad weren't close enough to hear. I breathed with difficulty and comforted. Next time, I'll let you transmigrate into a female-dominated story. A WeChat notification suddenly rang. I opened it to look. Look outside. I was somewhat puzzled. The next moment, as if suddenly realizing something, I quickly pulled open the curtains. Outside the villa's small gate, a figure was clearly standing there. My heart jumped twice heavily. I found an excuse and ran outside. February was still very cold. I was only wearing a red sweater. At first, I didn't feel it, but when I ran to Nathan, I felt how cold it was outside. I shivered and asked, "How did you get here?" Nathan didn't answer, but took off his coat and put it on me. Warmth enveloped me. I looked up at him. His expression was focused and gentle, with a smile at the corners of his mouth. After putting the coat on me, he said, "I missed you." I turned my head away, noticing the surrounding walls, and asked, "How did you get in?" Nathan was quiet for a second. "Climbed the wall." I couldn't help but laugh. This wasn't villainous at all. At the same time, colorful fireworks rose into the sky, bursting one by one. Brilliant light fell on our faces and bodies. I listened to the fireworks beside my ears and hesitated. "Want to come in?" Nathan shook his head. The Spring Festival Gala on TV began the countdown. The new year was coming. Something cold and icy touched my wrist. I was startled and looked up. It was a bracelet with a small cherry at the end. The TV host joyfully counted down 5. Outside the villa in winter, only our 2 figures stood there. 4. Snow began falling at some unknown time, gently landing on my eyelashes. I blinked and said softly, "I didn't prepare a gift for you." Nathan lowered his eyelashes, his eyes curving in unprecedented gentleness. I already received my gift. 3. I was puzzled, about to speak, when he suddenly put his arm around my waist. 2. He lowered his head, approaching my lips, his voice hoarse. "Sophia, Happy New Year." 1 fireworks exploded in the night sky. At the same time, his kiss gently fell. Soft, warm, devout. On this day of old and new transition, on this new year of fate's turning point. In winter, under the stars. We kissed. The burning emotions buried deep in my heart finally saw daylight again. The young man offered his purest affection, his most passionate heart, unreservedly to me. The snowflakes weren't cold, the fireworks no longer noisy, and even this long winter had some warmth. Love doesn't need too many reasons. It can be love at first sight or a slow-flowing stream. And we were probably destined. 2 hours later, I sat on my bed, looking at the occasional fireworks outside, my face still flushed red. Secret early romance outside my own house was too stimulating. I wrapped myself in the blanket and shyly rolled around. What should I say to Nathan tomorrow? Before I could figure it out, someone pressed down on me. I almost suffocated. "Emma," I said through gritted teeth. Emma didn't make a sound. I crawled out from under the blanket angrily. "Why aren't you sleeping yet?" Unexpectedly, Emma's expression wasn't joking but very heavy. She thought for a long time before speaking. "Sophia, I suddenly remembered it's New Year. The plot has progressed to chapter 40. I immediately understood what she meant and my breathing stopped. In the book, Sophia died tragically in chapter 40, half a month after New Year. Time was almost up. The bedroom fell into silence. As if Death's symphony began to play, my vision became dizzy. But soon, I regained my composure. It's okay. We've already changed so much of the plot. Ethan has no reason to kill me anymore. I don't know what Nathan did, but Ethan had already lost favor with his father, who even sent him abroad for college. He wouldn't come back. Emma uneasily gripped my hand, murmuring, "Right, the plot has already changed." She wasn't completely sober from the alcohol and lay down beside me, her eyes confused. "Sophia, I just had a dream." The plot didn't change. I watched myself get abused physically and mentally, and you died in front of me, but I couldn't do anything. I wanted to kill him, but could only watch myself uncontrollably fall in love with him. Emma slowly closed her eyes and fell asleep. I tucked the blanket around her and lay down with her. The system in the void seemed smaller, a small orb of light floating weakly. I looked at it and said softly, "What else do you want to do?" The system jumped once but didn't reply. Across the void, we stared at each other for a long time. Complete silence. I was kidnapped. 1 week after New Year. None of us expected the plot to advance early. On an ordinary afternoon, Emma went across the street to buy books. In less than 2 minutes, I was knocked out and taken away. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a cold, empty warehouse. My whole body was tied up, unable to move. The drug's effects hadn't completely worn off, and my vision was blurry. "Ethan?" I asked tentatively. The plot had already changed. Why did he still kidnap me? I looked at the white orb floating in the air. A cold electronic voice entered my ears. "Please, host, accept the task. Complete the final ending according to the plot." I mocked. Why should I accept this fate? Complete the plot, finish the task, and the host can receive the reward rebirth. But I was already reborn. Suddenly, I realized why was I reborn. In my past life, I had no self-awareness and completed all the plot according to the original story. In this life, I was reborn and no longer followed the original plot, but fate still led to this step. This meant the key to restarting this world wasn't me. Someone had self-awareness from the past life and changed the plot, causing the entire world to restart. Nathan. Nathan's image suddenly flashed through my mind, and I understood everything. Why he would like me, why he wanted me to be his fiancé, why he could bring down the male lead. The white orb floated beside me. "Please, host, accept the task." It was lying to me. Whether I accepted the task or not didn't affect the world's restart. The plot had changed so much that the ending could definitely change too. Just in case, I'd installed location tracking on my phone beforehand. As long as I could delay time. Click, 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 footsteps approached. Ethan pushed open the warehouse door. Cold daylight poured in, and I squinted. He walked up to me, looked around, then said, "Sophia, why did you betray me?" I gathered my blurry consciousness and said softly, "You betrayed me first." "I didn't." His expression was agitated. I just wanted to temporarily get engaged to Emma, then cancel the engagement after inheriting the Hayes family." "But you so quickly hooked up with Nathan and worked with him to scheme against me, getting me exiled abroad." Ethan's expression was crazy and gloomy. I suppressed my trembling and barely met his gaze. He said maniacally, "I lost everything. Everything." Ethan must have gone insane. I took 2 deep breaths. "You could give me up for the Hayes family. I had no need to stay chaste for you." Ethan laughed strangely twice and crouched down. "If I destroy you, will Nathan suffer?" "Just like me. Suffer like me." A chill ran up my spine, and I shivered. "Ethan, there's no need to commit crimes. Abroad, you can still." He interrupted me, laughing. "This shouldn't be my life. I'm the protagonist of this world. Everything should return to normal." My face went white as I realized Ethan had also recovered his memories from his past life. Ethan's expression was strange and excited. "As long as all the plot returns to normal, I can go back to my old life." My heart sank heavily. He wasn't just killing me for revenge, wanted to correct the original plot, make all of us supporting characters, get our proper endings, so he could restore his male lead's fortune. Nothing I said would work. He wouldn't let me go. Ethan made a phone call and had several people come in. Ethan's smile was full of malice, the same way of dying. "Are you satisfied?" The bone-deep pain from my memories spread through my body. I shook my head and backed away. That kind of targeted malice? The most humiliating way to die. I didn't want to experience it a second time. The system was still jumping beside me. Maybe I really was going to die a second time. I dodged the men's reaching hands and collapsed, screaming, "Nathan!" Bang! The door was kicked open. "Police!" Don't move. Armed police rushed in, surrounding the place. Ethan and those men looked panicked as the police handcuffed them one by one. Nathan rushed in right after. Seeing me, his face changed, and he immediately rushed over to untie the ropes. The moment the ropes were untied, I collapsed into his arms. Nathan held me tightly, softly coaxing, "It's okay now. Don't cry." My tears fell like broken pearls, hitting Nathan's clothes. After crying for a bit, I choked out, "I thought I'd never see you again." I even thought of my last words. Nathan helplessly laughed, "I won't let anything happen to you again." I leaned close to his ear and whispered, "I haven't told you yet, I like you." If I really was going to die, not telling Nathan I liked him would indeed be a regret. Ethan was sent to a mental hospital and would never get out. He'd lost all his male lead fortune. The plot was completely disrupted beyond repair. The protagonist of this world had disappeared, but it wasn't restarted. I knew this was probably related to Nathan, but I didn't ask him. The system around me also disappeared. Everything seemed truly over. After the college entrance exams, Emma, Nathan, and I all applied to B University in the city. One day, I suddenly remembered and asked Emma, "Now that the plot has changed, can't you go home?" Emma reacted strongly, "I'm not leaving. No one can make me leave. After finally getting rid of that jerk, I'm not going." I was puzzled. "What about your parents?" Emma snorted and gestured a number at me. "My family has 6 daughters and 1 son." I was dumbfounded. Each daughter exists to buy houses and cars for the son. They won't miss me. After digesting these 2 sentences, I patted her shoulder. "From now on, we're sisters with different fathers and mothers." The year we graduated from college, Nathan proposed to me. In the forest park in summer, fireflies danced like little spirits. Stars twinkled in the night sky, fireflies flew all over the forest, weaving together a fairy tale like beauty. Dreamlike and fantastical. Nathan knelt before me, his eyes gentle and calm. "Sophia, will you marry me?" Fireflies danced around us, light falling on Nathan's face, handsome and gentle, like a prince from a fairy tale. I looked down into his eyes, my smile gradually spreading. I said, "I will. Love can transcend time and space, bringing me back to your side." The end.